everyone, it's Nadia from YARNutopia. Today we're making this fabulous steampunk and stars cowl. This one has a lot of steampunk, more punk rock design to it, and we're using other mediums other than yarn. And I'll get into the supplies we need, I'll talk about some frequently asked questions, and then we'll get into making this super fabulous piece. So the yarn I'm using today is Red Heart Boutique yarn. This one is called Unforgettable Waves, and I absolutely loved working with this yarn. It's the first time I ever worked with this yarn, and it is in the specific color Thunder to make this beautiful design, to make the colors just really interesting in this yarn. And this specific yarn is 119 yards. I actually bought 2 balls of this and used a part of the other ball of yarn. So you're gonna need about 120 yards just because I used some of it for sewing as well. So you're going to need about 120 yards of yarn, and that is a 3.5 ounce ball of yarn. And this is a size 4 medium yarn. It is acrylic. You can use any worsted weight yarn for this project, which is similar to a double knitting yarn. Double knitting is a little bit thinner, and this yarn is quite interesting because it has thicker and thinner sections of the yarn, so it really has an interesting texture to it, and it is very soft and very, yeah, it'll be really nice for a cowl. So that's the yarn we're using, and you're going to need a K size hook, which is 6.5 millimeters to make this yarn, or this project. This hook I got on the Etsy shop Would Be Fancy. They have nice ergonomic handles that you can use to easily crochet, and this hook is a K size hook, which is 6.5 millimeters. These hooks are fixed inside. You should definitely get your hooks from there if you like bigger handles, if you have arthritis or something. I'll put the link in the description of this video because I'm in love with these hooks, so you can definitely get that information in the description of this video if you're watching it on YouTube. If you're watching it on my website, it's on the materials section of the website in the pattern. Also, you're going to need all this plethora of embellishments. You're going to need a scissors. We are going to be using yarn needles. I have a bunch of yarn needles in here just for sewing in ends and all that stuff. But I have the metal chain. I have a thicker chain, and then I have a thinner chain as well, just for the embellishment here, and for this hanging of this key I use the smaller chain. So you don't need much of this small chain, and the big chain we're using half size of this. All of these supplies that I'm using, these extra supplies, the embellishments, I got it at Joann Fabrics, so you can get them there or at a craft shop that you can get any embellishments, any buttons you'd like, any buckles, any really punk rock, really steampunk style. I got this snap clasp, which is this leathery clasp that I got too, that we're going to sew on here. And this is by Blue Moon Beads, so I will put the link in the description, or in the written pattern for that. And then there's a bunch of steampunk buttons. They're actually called steampunk buttons. Isn't that awesome? So I got some hearts with gears, I got some keys, I got some clocks there, so I got just a different variety of different buttons, and you can get those at the craft store too. I'm using these jewelry pliers because just to get the chains apart and stuff, so you're going to need some pliers if you're going to use chains and stuff. For this fringe here, we are using the same yarn, but I frayed it, and I show you how to fray your yarn so that it gives that just a little extra detail. So those are all the supplies we're going to need, and for measuring this, let me measure it real quick. This is 13 inches long from top to bottom, which is about 34 centimeters. Again, all of this will be in the pattern. This wraps around your neck. Actually, it's going to fit over your neck. I do sew this closed, but you can have the option of unclasping and clasping this to have it functional, but this is just for decoration here. So those are all the frequently asked questions for sizing, and for making this. We are using the star stitch, so it's a newer stitch that I loved working with. It was a lot of fun to work with. So check out the description for this pattern. check out the link to on YARNutopia. If you make this, please share your photos on Facebook and on Instagram, hashtag YARNutopia, so I can see your work. I have to say a huge thank you to my dad, Fuad, for taking the time to make this video with us. He's our videographer, editor, and photographer for all of our videos, so make sure you subscribe to our channel here on YouTube so you can get that update on when he posts our next video. So now let's get started and make this Steampunk and Stars cowl. Let's start out by making a slip knot. So put your short end over your long end, fold that down, and then pull your long end through that and pull tight, and then insert your hook and then pull that a little tighter. There we go. We can start. Let's start out by chaining 71. So yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, 4, 5. I won't make you watch me chain all 71. So I'm going to chain 71 just like this, and then I'll meet you up for row 1. Alright, so I just chained my 71 here. This is what it should look like, just something really long. And when you fold this in half, you want to make sure that your hole is big enough to fit over your head and around your neck. So if you wanted to, you can always chain something shorter or longer that is in a multiple of 2 plus 1. So I chained the 71. So now going on to row 1, we are going to go in the second chain from the hook. Okay, now the loop on the hook doesn't count as a chain, so count 1 and 2 right in this chain here. But what I like to do is, you can see the chain like this. I'm going to turn mine toward me, and you can see there are back ridges here that I am going to actually work in for row 1. So what I'm going to do is, again, second chain from the hook, 1 and 2. I'm going to go into that chain, okay? Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through and pull up just a little bit. So now there's 2 loops on my hook. We are going to go directly into the next chain, and then yarn over and pull through and pull up just a little bit like that. So there's 3 loops on the hook. We want to do this until we have 6 loops on the hook. So go into the next chain, yarn over and pull through. There's 4 loops. Next chain, go in, yarn over and pull through. That's 5 loops. So one more time, go into the next chain, yarn over and pull through, and there's 6 loops on the hook. Now, to finish off this star stitch, we are going to yarn over and pull through all of those loops on the hook, just like that, and then we're going to chain 1. Okay, keep in mind that chain 1 right there is going to be worked in for the next row, so don't pull that too tight. We are going to work in that chain 1 space right there that we just closed this whole star stitch in. Now what we're going to do is actually go into that chain 1 space down there for the next star stitch. So we're going to go into, I guess it's called the eye of the star here. We're going to go into there, yarn over and pull through. Okay, then you can see here there are 6 strands, 6 vertical loops here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, okay? This last one here is the one we're going to go in, okay? So we're just going to go into, so hold those 2 loops on your hook, go into the last vertical loop of your star, right there, just that 1 loop, and then yarn over and pull through that, okay? Now we're going to go into the same chain as the last loop of our previous star stitch. So right in here, you can see on our foundation chain, we worked in that already. We're going to go in there, yarn over and pull through. So now we have 4 loops on the hook. Then we're going to go into the next available chain on our foundation right here, yarn over and pull through. So we have 5 loops on the hook, and the next chain, go in, yarn over and pull through. So now we have the 6 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 6 of those loops. Okay, and then chain 1 to finish off that star. And there's your second star stitch. So now going on to the very next step, we are going to repeat what we did for this star stitch all the way across. So I'll show you again. You can see this loop right here. Okay, it looks like a part of our chain 1 right here, we're going to go in there. So we're going to go into that, yarn over and pull through. Then you can count your vertical loops here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is right here. Whoopsie, not right there, right up here. I don't know if you can even see that. If I pull it just a little bit, you'll be able to see it. Right there. We're going to go into that, yarn over and pull through, and the last chain we worked in, right here. Go in, yarn over, pull through. So we have 4 loops on the hook. Go into the next free chain, right there, yarn over, pull through, and the next free chain, yarn over, pull through. So we have 6 loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull through all 6 of those loops, and then chain 1 to close that. Okay, I'll show you again for this next one. Go into this loop right at the top of your star stitch, yarn over and pull through. Go into the last loop of your 6 loops here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is right there. We'll go into that one, yarn over and pull that through, and then go into the last chain you worked in right here, yarn over and pull through. And then the next 2 chains are going to go into this next one here, yarn over, pull through, and this next one here, yarn over and pull through. So we have 6 loops on our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yarn over, pull through all 6 of those loops, and then chain 1. Okay, so you can see your star stitches are being created. I like the texture of this yarn because this star stitch is thicker than these ones and just gives a really cool design. So now we're just going to continue working the star stitch all the way across our foundation chain. And at the end of this row, I think I should have 33 star stitches in total. I will recount that once I get to the end of this row and let you know for sure. But then I'm just going to star stitch across this foundation row, and that's it. And then I'll meet you up at the end of row 1, and then we'll go on to row 2 together. Alright, I'm just finishing my last star stitch of this row, and I stand corrected. I only have 32 star stitches, and there's 1 chain left, which I'm actually only going to half double crochet in. So yarn over. If you have 1 chain left, go in there, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 of the loops on your hook. Just like that. Okay, so this is what your row 1 should look like, and like I said, I counted 32 star stitches and then 1 half double crochet at the very end here. And now going on to row 2, we are going to chain up 1 and turn our work around. Alright, we're going to single crochet in our last half double crochet stitch right here. So go into the half double crochet stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Now in this star stitch you can see our chain 1 of that star stitch that closed it up. Like I said earlier, we're going to work in those chain 1s. So we're going to put 1 single crochet in this star stitch only. So in this first star stitch, go into that, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Now we're going to hop all the way to the next eye of the next star stitch here. So you can see the star stitch right here and this chain 1 right here. We're going to put 2 single crochet in the rest of each of these next star stitches. Okay, so go into this next one right here, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And then go back into that same space right there, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Now we're going to hop to the next one right here. So you can see it kind of looks like a, I don't know, semicircle, half circle kind of thing. And you can see if you stretch this apart, you'll see that little chain 1 there. Okay, we're going to go in with 2 single crochets. So there's 1 and 2. Okay, then hop to the next. So this looks like a stitch right here. We're not working in that. We're working in the little chain 1 space that closed the star stitch right in here. So it might be a little tiny to see, but if you find it, you'll be able to put 2 single crochets in there. Okay, and we're doing this all the way across. And then I'm going to meet you up at the end of this row because we'll have to put one more stitch somewhere. So I'll meet you up when I finish putting 2 single crochets in each star stitch, and then I'll meet you up and we'll go on to the next row together. Alright, I'm putting my last 2 single crochets here in this last star stitch, but we need to put one more single crochet in here. You can see here this looks like a chain up 2 stitch right at the edge here. Looks like 1, 2. We have to still go into that second chain right there and make a single crochet. So yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So I counted at the end of row 2, you should have 65 single crochet. If you have 67 single crochet, that's also okay. I counted across here, and there's 2 single crochets in each eye of each star, and then that last one. So, and then obviously that beginning part there was kind of confusing also, where we put just a single crochet in the half double crochet and only 1 single crochet in the first star stitch. But then all of the rest have 2 single crochets, and then this very last chain up 2 looking thing has a single crochet in there. So I have 65 single crochets. So now going on to row 3, we're going to chain up 2, 1 and 2, turn the work around like this, and we're going to star stitch across. So to start your first star stitch, you can see our chain up 2 right here, and you can see the chain, the second chain from the hook looks like this. So we are counting 1 and 2 in the second chain from the hook. We're going to go in this loop right here first, okay? So go into that loop that's closest to you, yarn over and pull through. And then usually I work in the back ridge, you know, of my foundation chain. We're also going to go in there. So go into that loop as well. Then yarn over and pull through. So when we have 3 loops on our hook, we want to get 6. Now we're going to go into this first single crochet stitch right here, okay, on our piece now. Going in there, yarn over and pull through. And that's 4 loops on the hook. Go into the next stitch, yarn over and pull that through. That's 5 loops on the hook, and go into the next stitch, and that brings us 6 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through all 6 of those loops, and you'll see that it does straighten out this edge here and looks really nice. And there's our star stitch, our first star stitch of this row. We have to close it by chaining 1. And now we're just going to repeat how I did the star stitch in row 1. We're going to go in this loop right here, yarn over, pull through, count your loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that loop right there, that vertical loop, looking loop right there, go in, yarn over and pull through, go into this stitch that we just, our last stitch that we worked in. You can see it's worked in right there. We're going to go into that stitch, yarn over and pull that through. And then the next 2 stitches also, this stitch right here, yarn over, pull through, and the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. So we have 6 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 6 of those loops, and then chain 1. And we're repeating that across here. So in this loop here, yarn over, pull through, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this vertical loop right here, yarn over, pull through. The stitch the last vertical loop was pulled through, so right in here, yarn over and pull that through. And then the next 2 stitches get a yarn over, pull through on both of those. Ooh, don't lose your loops though. That's kind of frustrating when that happens. So there we go. We have 6 loops on the hook then, yarn over and pull through all 6 of those loops, and then chain 1. Okay, so we're going to do that all the way across this row. Again, we'll have the same amount of star stitches at the end of this row. So this is row 3 now, and I have then 30, let's see here, 32 stars in total. So I'll just meet you up at the end of row 3, and I'll show you how to go on to row 4 and the next step. Alright, I'm just finishing up row 3 here. Just going to make this one last star stitch, and then we have to, here's my chain 1, we have to still put a half double crochet in the very last turning chain here. I don't know if you can see it very well, it's right in here, and on your work it may be a little small, a little hidden. Be sure to put your last stitch in that stitch, and we're actually going to put a half double crochet, so make sure you yarn over first and then go in there. If you cannot find it, just put a half double crochet in the last stitch, the actual stitch right in here, okay, that we worked our last vertical stitch on. Okay, so I'm going to work it in the chain 1, or my turning chain right in here. Okay, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 of the loops on the hook, just like that. And now what we're going to do is chain 1 and turn the work around, and now I need you to rewind this to see how we did rows 2 and rows 3. So row 2 and 3, we're going to repeat this until we get to row 10, until we finish row 10. So this next row is row 4. We are going to single crochet in the first stitch and into this eye of the star here, and then 2 single crochets in each star stitch across, and in our turning chain, just rewind this to see exactly where to go for rows 2 and 3. I'm going to repeat this until I finish row 10, okay, and then we'll go on to row 11 together. Okay, and we'll continue making this piece. So just continue repeating rows 2 and 3 until you finish row 10, and then I'll meet you up for row 11. Alright, I just finished row 10 here, so this is what my piece looks like, and if you want to, you can continue making this as long as you want, but this will wrap around my neck perfectly fine, and now we can do the decrease. So let me measure this real quick so you can see how big this piece exactly is. About 19 and a half, almost 20 inches long. Okay, which is about 51, well, about 50 centimeters across. And then lengthwise, this is 4.5 inches, which is about 11 centimeters. So that's how tall or long this is. And that'll wrap around my neck perfectly fine. So now we can make a decrease. So what we're going to do for row 11, instead of chaining up 2 at the end of row 10, we're going to chain up only 1 to go on to row 11. And we're going to slip stitch into the first 2 stitches. So you can see this first single crochet here, go in, yarn over, pull through, and pull through that loop on your hook. Okay, that's a slip stitch. We're going to do that in the next stitch, so go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. Okay, so now we slip stitched into the first 2 stitches, and then we are going to chain up 2. 1 and 2. And we're going to make our beginning star stitch. So you know how to do that now. Go in the second chain from the hook in this front loop here, yarn over and pull through, and then go into the back ridge loop of the chain, same chain, yarn over and pull that through, and then go down into the same stitch we slip stitched into below that chain up 2, yarn over and pull that through. So we have 4 loops on the hook, go into the next free stitch, yarn over and pull that through, and in the next free stitch, yarn over and pull that through. So now we have the 6 stitches, or the 6 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 6 loops, and there's our first star stitch of row 11. So now yarn over and pull through to chain 1. And now we have to star stitch 16 more times. Okay, so regular star stitch 16 times. So go into this loop behind here, yarn over, pull through. Go into the vertical loop right here, yarn over, pull through. Go into that last stitch for the last loop, yarn over, pull through. And the next 2 stitches like so. So we have the 6 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through, and then chain 1. So that was 1 star stitch. So you want to have a total of 17 star stitches on this row, row 11. So I have 2 so far. So I'm just going to continue working the star stitch until I have a total of 17 star stitches on this row, and then I'll meet you up for the next step. We'll go on to the next row together. Alright, so I just finished row 11 here. We have 17 star stitches in total. So if you want to count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. And you can see I chained that 1 there to close this last star stitch. And what we're actually going to do is half double crochet into the next stitch. So yarn over, go into this next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And then chain up 1 and turn the work around. Okay, so leave the rest of these stitches unworked, okay? And this should get you to almost halfway or a little over halfway on your long piece that's going to wrap around your whole neck. So if you can see, that's about halfway, the halfway mark, okay? Little over halfway. So now we're going to turn our work around, and now we're going to work on this row here. We are going to repeat row 2. Okay, so we're going to single crochet in the half double crochet. So what we did, chain up 1 there. So now single crochet in the half double crochet, single crochet in this first star stitch, and then put 2 single crochet in each of the rest of the star stitches across. Okay, so I'll meet you up at the end of row 12, and then we'll go on to row 13. When you get to the very end here and you put your last 2 single crochet in that last star stitch right there, you still have to put 1 in that churning chain, just like how we did for row 2. So still put 1 single crochet in the last turning chain. At the end of row 12, you should have 35 single crochets. So if you want to go back and count, make sure you have 35 stitches. Going on to row 13, we are going to chain up 1, turn our work around, and then basically repeating row 11, but we're doing less star stitches. So I'll show you how to do that. We're going to slip stitch in this first stitch and oopsie, go into this first stitch, yarn over, pull through, and into the next stitch. Go in, yarn over, pull through, and through. Then chain up 2, 1 and 2, and we are going to work our star stitch, our beginning star stitch. So go into this loop here in the front of that second chain from the hook, yarn over, pull through, go into that back ridge of that same chain, yarn over and pull that through, and then go down into that same stitch that we slip stitched into, yarn over, pull that through, and then the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. So we have the 6 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 6, chain 1, and repeat. And now we have to do actually for row 13, star stitch 14 more times. So we'll have a total of 15 star stitches for row 13. Okay, so we're just repeating how we did the star stitch, making sure we are only going to do 14 more star stitches here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yep. There's my second star stitch of this row. So I have 2 star stitches done here. I'm going to repeat how to do the star stitch for until I have 15 total star stitches on this row, and then I'll meet you up and we'll go on to row 14. Alright, so I have 15 star stitches in total for row 13 here. So you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And you can see I chained that 1 there. I am going to half double crochet into the next stitch, but I'm going to leave these last 2 stitches unworked. Okay? And then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work around. like so. And we're going to do our single crochet row, which is a repeat of row 2. At the end of this row we'll have 31 stitches, so we're going to single crochet in this half double crochet stitch and in our star stitch right here, and then in the rest of them we are going to put 2 single crochets in each star stitch across. And then I'll meet you up at the end of this row, and then we'll go on to row 15. Alright, I just put 2 single crochets in each star stitch, and I still have to put 1 single crochet in this turning chain right here. So I'm just going to go into that, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I have my 31 single crochets. Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work to go on to row 15, and we're going to repeat what we did for that row 13, except we have less star stitches. So you can kind of see the decrease here. You can see the decreased tick marks here, which rows we decreased on, but don't worry about those. Those will be pushed in when we single crochet around this whole piece, so don't worry about that. But I'll go on to row 15 here. We're going to slip stitch into these first 2 stitches and then chain up 2, and then make our beginning star stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 loops. Okay, chain 1 to close that star stitch, and then we are going to make 12 more star stitches for a total of 13 star stitches on this row. So then just continue working the regular star stitch until you have a total of 13 star stitches for row 15 here. Okay, so then I'll just meet you up for row 16. Alright, I have 13 star stitches right now. That is at the end of row 15 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 total. So now we are going to half double crochet into this next stitch to finish off this row. And then we can chain 1 and turn our work around, leaving those last 2 stitches unworked. Okay, turn your work around. Row 16 is a repeat of that row 2, so we're just single crocheting across now. Remember, 1 single crochet in the half double crochet and 1 single crochet in the first star stitch, and then 2 single crochets in each star stitch until the end of this row. Make sure to put 1 in that turning chain. I will meet you up for row 17. Alright, single crocheting in this last stitch. So at the end of row 16, you should have 27 single crochets. So now chain 1, turn your work around, going on to row 17. We are going to do our repeat of the star stitch rows. This row, though, we're only going to have 11 star stitches in total. So remember to slip stitch into the first 2 stitches, then chain up 2, make your beginning star on that chain, and make sure you have the 6 loops on your hook before you yarn over and pull through all 6 of those, and then chain 1. So there's our first star stitch. So now we have to make 10 more for a total of 11 star stitches on row 17. And then once I finish making those, I'll meet you up at the end of this row. We'll go on to row 18 together. Alright, I just finished row 17 here, so you can see how many star stitches we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And don't forget, we have to chain that 1, and then we're going to half double crochet into the next stitch before we go on to the next row. So row 18, now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work around. And for row 18, we're going to repeat that single crochet row. So single crochet in the half double crochet and in this first star stitch, and then put 2 single crochets into each of the next star stitches and the very last turning chain also gets a single crochet. So at the end of this row, we'll have 23 single crochets in total. I will meet you up at the end here, and we'll go on to row 19. Alright, I have my 23 single crochets on this row. So now going on to row 19, we're going to chain 1, turn our work around, and we're going to repeat our star stitch rows that we've been decreasing. So slip stitch into the first 2 stitches, and then make your chain up 2 here, beginning star stitch. And on this row, we're going to have a total of 9 star stitches. So make your beginning star stitch, and then make 8 more star stitches after this one here. Okay, for a total of 9. And when I have my 9 star stitches, then I'll meet you up. We still have to half double crochet in the next stitch, and then we'll go on to row 20. Alright, I have my 9 star stitches, and I'm half double crocheting in this next stitch. Chain 1 and turn your work around. We can go on to row 20 now, and we are going to do our single crochet row. So again, single crochet in the half double crochet, single crochet in the first star stitch, that chain 1 to close that star stitch, and then put 2 single crochets in each of the next star stitches, all the rest of these star stitches, and then single crochet in the turning chain at the end of this row, and we'll have 19 single crochets at the end of this row, and I'm almost there, so we can just continue on working these single crochets. I'm going a little faster because it's a repeat of row 2. Okay, and then we can go on to row 21, and we're going to be making our star stitches again. Okay, so don't forget that turning chain. 1 single crochet goes in there, chain up 1, turn your work around. Okay, let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 single crochets on row 20. For row 21, remember to slip stitch in the first 2 stitches, and then chain up 2, and then make your beginning star stitch. So that's our first star stitch of this row. We'll have a total of 7 star stitches on this row. So this is our first one, so I have to make 6 more star stitches on this row, and then at the end of row 21, I'll meet you up and we'll go on to row 22. Alright, I have 7 star stitches, and I'm just half double crocheting in this next stitch, leaving the last 2 stitches unworked. Chain 1 and turn your work around. Okay, to go on to row 22 here, we are going to do our single crochet row. Okay, just like we've been doing. So we've been doing this decrease now. We're only going to have 15 single crochets for this row. So remember, 1 single crochet in that half double crochet, 1 single crochet in that star stitch, and then 2 single crochets in each of the next 6 star stitches for a total of 14, and then there will be that last stitch, which will be our 15th stitch, is going to be in that turning chain. Okay, so I'm almost there. I'll show you. Okay, I just have my last star stitch right here, and then our turning chain right here is going to be kind of difficult to see. There it is. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So if you want to count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So now we can go on to row 23, chain 1, turn your work And we're doing the same decrease. So again, you can see our decreases going, and you can see these little knobs here. They will be hidden when we single crochet around this whole piece on this side as well. Also, you can see our decrease on this side is very blunt, and this side not so much. That is how we want it to look. So, because the fringe is going to come down this side anyway, so it's going to look fabulous, very steampunk style. So now we can go on to the next row, row 23, slip stitching in these first 2 stitches, then chain up 2, make our beginning star stitch, and 4 more. So a total of 5 star stitches now on this row. Okay, and then I will meet you up when we finish, and we'll go on to row 24 then. Alright, so you can see my 5 star stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have to half double crochet into the next stitch. Leave those last 2 unworked, chain 1, turn your work. Going on to row 24, we are doing a single crochet row, single crochet in this half double crochet, single crochet into the first star stitch, and then 2 single crochets in each of the next 4 star stitches. And then we'll have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, here's 7 and 8, and oops, 9 and 10, and then we have to put our last one in the turning chain right here, 11. So you'll have 11 single crochets after row 24. Going on to row 25, chain 1, turn your work. We're getting a lot smaller here. Our decrease is really coming together here. So now we're going to go on to row 25, slip stitch in the first 2 stitches, chain up 2, make your beginning star stitch, so in that second chain from the hook, in that loop and in the back loop of that same chain, yarn over, pull through, in the same stitch that we slip stitched into and chained up 2 in, and in the next 2 stitches, just yarn over and pull through. So now we have 6 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 6 of those loops, chain 1, go into the bottom of your chain 1 there, yarn over, pull through, go into the last loop of your star stitch there, yarn over, pull through, go into the last stitch your star stitch was made in, there, yarn over, pull through, and each of the next 2 stitches. So we have 6 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 6, chain 1, and do that again. Loop the loop of the chain 1 right there, the last loop that we pulled up from that star stitch, the last stitch that last loop was pulled through, and then the next 2 stitches on this row. And again, yarn over, pull through all 6 loops, chain 1, half double crochet into the next stitch, so you'll only have 3 star stitches on this row, and then that half double crochet, chain 1, turn your work around, going on to row 26 right away, single crochet into that half double crochet, single crochet into the next star stitch, 2 single crochets in the next star stitch, and 2 single crochets in the next star stitch. And then single crochet in your turning chain, way over here. And so you'll have 7 single crochets in total for row 26, chaining up 1, turning the work around, going on to row 27. We're almost done here. Slip stitch into the first 2 stitches, then chain up 2, make your beginning star stitch, and then chain that 1 and half double crochet in the next stitch. You don't even have to work in those next 2 stitches, just chain 1, turn your work around, and single crochet in that half double crochet stitch, single crochet into the star stitch, and single crochet in your turning chain. So now we have 3 single crochets on this row. Chain 1, turn your work around. Now row 29, we are not doing a star. We are just single crocheting these 3 stitches together. So go into this first one, yarn over, pull through, go into the next one, yarn over, pull through, and go into this last stitch, yarn over, pull through. We have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 of those loops just like that, and then we can chain 1. Okay, so now this is what your work should look like. Before we single crochet around this whole piece, I want you to see how this should look. So you can see that this angle is very angular and this one is not so angled, but that's okay. That's how it should look, okay? So this is what your piece will look like right now. Now what we're going to do is single crochet around this entire piece until we get back to that point right there. So what we're going to do is first go down this side here, okay, and basically wherever your hook fits is where you should single crochet. I don't have a stitch count for this border here, so just go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, okay, go in to where your hook fits, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, okay. And you want to go on the very edge, so if you want to go through loops here, but I wouldn't recommend going around an entire stitch. Okay, you can single crochet in each of those 2 stitches like this. Okay, and then going down the edge, maybe on this side of this half double crochet stitch. Okay, and then in each one of these stitches on this side, you just kind of want to straighten this out a little bit. Okay, so you can kind of see, and when you stretch it out a little bit, it kind of just cleans it up so you don't see this poking out at all. Okay, and when we make our picots on this side and when we add the fringe on this side, you definitely won't see any of that. So let's just single crochet around this piece. I'll do all of this right here and I'll meet you up at this point here, and then I'll show you how to get onto that area there. So let me single crochet up this side and then I'll meet you up at the next step. Alright, I just single crocheted up this angled side here, and now we want to single crochet along this little edge here, and basically all you have to do is just go into each stitch now on this side. Just like that. Super simple. When we get to the corner, we're going to put 2 single crochets in the corner and then work up the side. Again, basically wherever your hook fits is where you should single crochet. And then again in the next corner, put 2 single crochets and then crochet along the top edge and then down along the other side. So very simple, just single crocheting here. I'm almost to the next corner here, so let me just show you exactly what to do. I'm going a little fast because single crochets are just going in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, we're just doing that all along here. Alright, so I'm in the last stitch here. I'm putting 2 single crochets in there to turn my corner, and now I'm going to work along this edge of this is the short edge of the neck part of our piece. Okay, again, wherever the hook fits. I wouldn't recommend going around the stitch post like this. I wouldn't recommend going around that post, but actually into the 2 side stitch pieces, just like that, going just like that. Okay, just because that can create larger holes on the side. If you went around that post, see how wide that hole would become. So if we go into those 2 loops on the side, like that, it's through the stitch itself, and that won't create a big wide gaping hole. So that's just a little tip there. So I'm just gonna single crochet around this whole piece. And when I get back to the tip where we ended our rows, then I'm going to meet you up and we'll make picot stitches. Alright, I'm just finishing single crocheting around this whole piece here. When you get back to the very top here, or the very tip of this piece, you can see my chain 1 right there, we're going to actually go into the first single crochet of this round and slip stitch in there. So yarn over, pull through, and through, pull tight, okay, and then we're going to chain up 1, okay. I'm going to pull this out just a little bit and remove my hook so you can see here that this is what our piece should look like. You can see that both sides of this point have really straightened out pretty nicely, just crocheting around this whole piece. So this is what your piece should look like, and if you want to, you can block this, but we're going to make a little picot edge just along this edge right here till we end. We're going to end right here and fasten off. So I'm going to show you how to do a picot edge. So first we're going to single crochet into this first stitch here. So go in, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, this 3rd chain here, and I'm going to go in that back ridge of it. Go in, yarn over, pull through, and pull through, and then single crochet into the next stitch. So go in, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, and there you can see the picot is made. Okay, so we're just going to repeat. So go into the next stitch, we're going to single crochet, then we're going to chain 3, and then slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook, and then single crochet into the next stitch. And there's your next picot. So again, single crochet into the next stitch, chain 3, and then slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook, and then single crochet into the next stitch. Okay, so we're just going to do this all the way until we get to this part right here where our point kind of ends. Okay, and we have that long neck piece there. So I'm going to end right here. I'll meet you up when I get there. So just single crochet in the next stitch, then chain 3, slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook, and then single crochet. I guess you could just single crochet in the next 2 stitches, then chain 3, etc. So I'm just going to continue doing this until I'm ready to fasten off, and I will meet you up when I do so. When you make your last picot and you're satisfied, we're going to single crochet into the next stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. So go in, yarn over, pull through, and through. And then to fasten off, I usually just chain 1 and cut my yarn, and then continue to pull that all the way through and pull it tight. Okay, and that's fastened off. And then we can grab our yarn needle and sew in this end right away so it's hidden. So I'm just going to go underneath some of these stitches. Okay, and pull that through. And then if you want to go backward, just weave in that end with your yarn needle to hide it. Stretch it out, cut any extra, and there it's hidden. And there you have your picots. Awesome! So now let's turn this around because this is going to go down your chest part and this is going to go around your neck. So let's fold that around to meet with the beginning here. And you want it to overlap a little bit. Okay, like about, I don't know, 1 inch, maybe 2 inches. That's really creator's choice, so however you feel most comfortable doing it. I'm thinking right about here is good. And then we're going to grab the snap clasp, okay, from that Blue Moon beads, so this piece right here, to use, doesn't really have, here's the clasp, leather snap. I will have this link in my written pattern in the material section for you to get something like this or something similar to this. But we want to grab that, so it's a nice little snap, little clasp kind of piece. There we go. Okay, so what you want to actually do is keep it buttoned so it lines up nicely. Place it on this piece however you'd like it to go, right in the center there if you want it like tipped or wherever you want it to go. Just make sure all of these are on one side and all of these are on the other piece. Okay, so we're going to just lay it down there. I'm going to grab my yarn from the ball of yarn and a yarn needle. Okay, I'm going to yarn my needle with that yarn. And we're just going to sew this on. So I'm going to, you just sew it on this one side first, okay? And we're going to go from underneath, and you can see the holes. So I'm just going to go into this hole, just like this, and then out this side, and then into the next hole. And just keep sewing this around and around, kind of like a whip stitch actually. And there's seven whip stitches here. Let me sew this on and then I'll show you how to fasten this off. If you have a different buckle, you can find something else, use something else. But when you get to your last one there, we're going to go into our piece, okay, on the inside, pull that in, and then turn this around so we're looking at the inside. I'm going to go up the stitches, like underneath them, but up to the top where my other straggler is, just like that. And then I'm going to cut this yarn and I'm going to tie these two in a knot to fasten this off. Okay, so you can turn that back around and you can see that that is sewn on nicely. So now we just need to grab our yarn needle, so yarn our needle with these two straggler pieces, and we're going to sew these in underneath the stitches to hide them. So let me just cut this shorter here. Alright, so just hide these underneath your stitches, just like that. Cut any extra, and then fold this over your other piece, the other side, however far you want it to go. So I'm thinking right about here, okay? And then I'm going to sew this side now exactly how I sewed that side. So I'm going to do the rest of that piece off camera, and once that piece is sewn on, we'll go on to adding the other embellishments. Alright, so I just sewed this buckle completely on, so on the inside it's all sewn in there. And now what I ended up doing is trying this on, and this actually kind of pulls like this around the neck, and I don't personally really like that look, but if you do, you can leave it and use this as a functional buckle where you snap this, wrap it around your neck, and then buckle it back up. But I'm going to actually tack this down, this piece right here and this piece right here. I'm going to tack them down with just a little piece of yarn so that it doesn't move when I put it around my neck. So I'm just going to take my yarn needle, yarn my needle, go underneath into this layer, and then out this layer, okay, and then I'm just going to pull out like that, and then go into the next stitches through both layers to the inside, like that, and then cut this yarn and tie those two in a knot. And that just tacks it down so that when I do put this on, these won't separate. Okay? so it looks nice. And then all I need to do is just sew that in, and I'm going to do that to the top part as well. So this part here, I'm just going to put this down on here. I should just do it right away, and then I can sew in those ends at the same time. So put that down where I want it, going in through these stitches here, and then out those stitches there, cutting this yarn that's attached to the ball of yarn, and then tying these two in a knot. Okay, and now I just need to sew in those ends. So then so all I need to do is just put this over my head and just put that on like that. And this buckle is just for decoration then. So you can see that when they pull it apart, it does not separate, which is nice as well. So that's that. Now I'll sew those ends in a minute, but now I'm going to add some fringe. So we want to add fringe to this side that's just plain. Okay, you can see our picot stitches are here. We'll add our buttons and our chain later. But I'm going to add fringe to this side. So what we need to do is cut a bunch of the yarn actually from this stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, about 22, 23 strands of yarn that are about 14 inches long, and that's again subject to the designer. If you want shorter fringe, you can do shorter fringe, but just cut a piece and then fold it in half and see if that is the length you want your fringe to be, and that is how long I want mine to be on this piece, just like that. So I am going to cut 23 strands that are 14 inches long, and then once I have all my strands, I'll show you how to attach them to the cowl, and then we'll make our fringe, and then we'll go on to the next step after that. Alright, so you can see I've made all these strands of yarn that are about 14 inches. So now what we're going to do is take each one and grab a hook, okay, and we're going to go from the top, the outside of our work, going into the stitch on the edge. We're going to fold a strand in half, okay, and then we're going to go hook that on the hook, pull it through, okay, this is kind of like a latch hook kind of thing, grab that through that loop and pull it through and pull it tight and pull it down. Okay, and there's how we're going to attach. So we're just going to go to the very next one right here, grab a strand of yarn, hook it on the hook and pull it through. Oops. Hook it on and pull it through. There we go. Put your finger through that loop and hook on that strand, pull it through that loop, pull tight and pull down, and that's attached. Okay, so I'm just going to attach all the strands of yarn on this piece, on this side of the opposite side of the picots. Okay, once I get to the very bottom, I will show you what to do next. Alright, once you have all your fringe on here, you can leave it like this and that's totally cool, but I'm just going to add a little bit extra detail, and I'm going to kind of fray this out. And to do that, what you'll need is a yarn needle, like a darning needle, and what we're going to do, I'm just going to start from the top here and work my way down. Okay, we're going to take one strand at a time, and we're going to insert our needle into the middle of the strand, okay, of this fringe here, okay, just like that, and then we're going to kind of separate them, just kind of split the yarn in half, and if you need to, you like untwist it, and that way it will separate the fiber and kind of fray it out. just like this. Okay, and if it falls apart, it might fall a little bit apart, but we won't like pull it too hard, and that just splits it. Okay, so I'm going to do that all down this this fringe here to kind of fray out each one. Okay, so I'm just going to separate them, kind of untwist it, and with this type of yarn it will kind of pull apart a little bit. Just don't pull too hard on it, otherwise it will all fall off. So just be careful with it and work with it, and then fray it all down to the bottom. Once all of my strands are frayed to my liking, I'm going to meet you up, and then we'll add the buttons and the chain. Alright, this is frayed to my liking, so this is what it should look like for you. And if you want to, you can, there's a little bit of extra down here, you can kind of just give it a little bit of a haircut, just slightly. Just cut off any extra fraying or any length that it may have, just like that. Okay, so this is what it should look like. So now we can add our other embellishments. I got these steampunk buttons to give it that steampunk look. So I have, these are all the packages they all came in. I have these clocks, and then these hearts with gears on them, and then these keys. And I'm going to use 3 of the clocks, 2 of the hearts with the gears, and 1 key. And then I also have 2 chains. I have just this thick chain here, and then I'm just going to use a few links, like 4 links of this smaller chain, just to attach to the key and kind of have it hanging down. So you're going to need those, and you're going to need some jewelry pliers to help with the chains, and then you're going to need your yarn and your sewing needle for this next part. So let me grab some yarn. Okay, and what we're going to do is kind of just position our buttons how we want them to look on our piece. So we're going to go every other one. I'm going to make a clock and a heart, and then the very bottom one here is going to be a clock. Okay, and then space them out nicely. Okay, I'm just going to show you how to sew on one of them, and then I'll just sew on the rest of them. And with the chain, with the big chain, I'm actually going to put that on. So the chain I got was double this size. I folded it in half and just removed the other side of the chain. So the ones you're going to get at your craft shop is going to be longer than this. But just measure how long you want it to be, and measure it from this button up to your 4th button. Okay, or your 3rd button, or wherever, however you want it to be, or how long you want yours to be. So I want mine to be about from the 1st button down here to the 4th button up here. And then when it hangs down, it's just going to hang kind of like this. Okay, so what I want to do is actually keep this attached and put it underneath this 1st button. It'll just be a lot easier to sew everything on. Going underneath this scarf, this cowl here, going through the chain links, okay, and then through the button. Okay, I'm just going through like that, and then we're gonna sew this on. So we're gonna go back through to this side. Okay, and then we gotta grab our scissors and cut this yarn, and I'm going to tie these 2 pieces in a tight knot, like a double, maybe triple knot, just to secure all of that. Okay, so now that chain and that button are secure at the bottom here, just like that. Awesome! Then we're going to we have to sew in these ends, and just like I showed you earlier how to sew in ends, I'm just going to get a yarn needle. And then yarn my needle with those strands. And then just go underneath some of these stitches just to hide those strands. Okay, and then cut any extra, and that button is secure. Okay, now I'm going to leave this chain until I sew on this one up here, but I'm just going to sew on these ones next. So let me grab my yarn and needle, yarn my needle, position my button where I want it, go from the back through the buttonholes. This button was a little difficult. If you need to, use your pliers or find a, I think I'm using the wrong needle. You have to get a needle that actually fits through your thing. So let me find a needle here. Smaller needles that fit through your buttonholes. There we go, that one does. So let's grab this yarn. Sorry about that. Or you can sew these on with thread or whatever, but just pull this then through. It must be the thickness of the yarn also. There we go. Okay, position it where you want it to go. Go back through the scarf. Okay, that's how I want it to look. So I'm going to cut this shorter, tie a double knot. You can tie a double or a triple knot, doesn't matter. And then we'll sew in those ends in a minute. Okay. Now when I sew on my fourth button here, what I'm going to do is just like that first one, I'm going to put this chain link behind my button and then sew that on just like I sewed on this first button. I'm going to sew the rest of these on off camera. Once those are all sewn on, I'll show you how to add the key to the chain link if that's what you want to do. That's optional. And then I'll be finished with my cowl. Alright, I have everything attached here so you can see all my buttons and my big chain is on here. So now I just want to add one more little embellishment just to give this a finishing touch. I want to add a key to hang down from this chain. So I have these key buttons and I have this smaller chain here. And what do we need to do? If you have jewelry making supplies, it will be much easier for you to get these chain links separated. I'm just going to use 4 chains from this chain link here. I'm going to get to the 4th one and I'm going to separate the wires here, and I'll do one at a time. And I'm not a jewelry artist, so I'm not so great at this, obviously. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's one. Sorry if you can't really see what I'm doing. I'm trying to concentrate on trying to separate these. I guess I could just do them with my fingers. There we go. So I have the 4 chains, and then I'm going to put them, or I guess just one of the chains, I'm going to remove completely. And then I have this one here. I'm going to put the key on that one and then close that up. Okay, and then you want to make sure it's facing forward. You want to find out exactly where you want it to lay, if you want it lower on your chain or higher on the chain, and then kind of separate the chain lengths. Hook it on a chain, the bigger chain. And then close those up as best as you can. Whoops. Well, I lost one, but as long as it gets attached with the chain, you should be good. And I'm trying to do this a little faster for the video, but you can take your time with this, obviously, and do it correctly. So there we have it, attached, and the key is hanging there. And there it is. So if you need to, you know, obviously sew in all your ends and make sure everything is clean on the inside and out, and it is ready to wear. Thank you so much for watching and learning how to make this Steampunk and Stars cowl. This was a really fun project, and I just love using other mediums other than yarn, but like jewelry and buttons and this big clasp. I just absolutely love using other items and other mediums in crochet. So thanks so much for watching and learning. If you make this, please share your photo on Facebook and on Instagram. Make sure you hashtag YARNutopia so I can see your fabulous work and see you modeling in this very punk rock kind of cowl. So thank you again always for watching and learning. I will see you next time. Happy hooking!